Hunter is going to join us at 7:35. We're going to talk about previewing Game 6 between the Pistons and the Knicks that takes place tonight at Little Caesars Arena. Of course, another elimination game for Detroit. Down 3-2, but showed an awful lot the other night. We'll talk about it throughout the morning here on X's and BrO's. Tigers salvaged one of the 3 games in Houston with a 7-4 win. Cole Keith smashes his first homer of the year, a 2-run blast. Javier Baez gets his first home run of the season, destroying a pitch in the third, his 9th career grand slam. Riley Green goes 4 for 4 on a day in which Detroit snaps their 2-game mini slide. They'll open up a 4-game weekend series in L.A. against the Angels tonight. An Angels team, by the way, that sits at the bottom of the West. Lost to Seattle last night. Lost Mike Trout in the process, knee soreness, although he does say he'll be ready for Detroit. Casey Mize at 4-1 will get the call in the series opener. I was thinking about this. I mean, you look at the number of grand slams by Javier Baez, and number 9, or I should say 9 career grand slams overall. Pretty damn good. It got me thinking, who's the all-time leader in career grand slams? Alex Rodriguez has 25. Lou Gehrig, 23. Manny Ramirez, 21. It's a lot of grand slams. and if you look at it, too, a lot of old names on the list. Not that they're all in black and white video. Eddie Murray, Willie McCovey, Robin Ventura might be the biggest surprise there. He's got 18 in his career. But then there's Jimmy Fox, there's Ted Williams, there's Hank Aaron, there's Dave Kingman, there's Babe Ruth. Impressive. Gil Hodges a little bit later on. Just wanted to give you that little nugget on career grand slams. 9's a lot, but he's got a long, long way to go to catch some of the all-time greats. All right, speaking of basketball, as we mentioned, Pistons discussion throughout here this morning on this Thursday. Houston staves off elimination, a convincing 131-116 win over Golden State, who literally looked like they didn't want to be there. The Rockets had 3 starters score 24 points or more, led by Fred VanVleet's game-high 26. Meanwhile, Minnesota dismisses the Lakers in 5 games after a 103-96 win. Rudy Gobert had a career playoff high 27 points, 24 rebounds. He had more points in Game 5 than the previous 4 combined. At some point, not that it's all on J.J. Redick, he's taking quite a few bullets for what he's done in this series so far, so much so that he literally dropped the mic and left an interview yesterday prior to the game. I don't need this. I'm moving on. Why would you play your entire 5 players in the second half without substituting at all? Did you ever ask any advice of any of your assistant coaches? His response, oh, so you're trying to tell me because of my inexperience? Is that what you're alluding to? You don't think I talk to my coaches ever about things like this? This is what happens, when you're a young coach or a rookie coach. You're the 3 seed, the other team's the 6 seed, and the other team's beating you. It also happens when you don't have the personnel. I don't think anybody's going to write this today. And it probably shouldn't be written. It can be discussed, though, couldn't it? How many more games did Luka Doncic and the Lakers play than Anthony Davis and the Mavericks? 4? Because Dallas lost, right? In the play-in game. All right. 4? Is that worth it?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis got hurt, though, too.
Right. But they still,
he got hurt and missed a big chunk of time. I'm just saying.
I'm giving you the laydown.
Yeah, the team did not make it
left,
any further.
When did he leave? He left in the game last night a little bit because he hurt his back.
Your point's well taken, though. The Mavs losing the play-in and the Lakers losing the first round.
The Lakers were supposed to. They were I don't know if they were the chic pick because Oklahoma City is by far and away best team in the Western Conference. But there's a lot of people who looked at LA and go, you know what? I like them going pretty deep.
They had the second best title odds in the West. You're exactly right.
So where was it? I don't know if it's JJ Redick. It's everybody. You can't just give a free pass to Luka Doncic. He put up some big numbers in some of those games. You can't just give a free pass to LeBron James. You can't just give a free pass to JJ Redick. I don't know how much you want to blame some of their other players. You can do that if you want. Reeves, go ahead. Hachimura, go ahead. But whether you like it or not, much of this league is based on your superstar players, your faces of the game. Where was LeBron James and Luka Doncic? Oh, Shep, the two players can't carry him. You're asking Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to carry the Clippers. You're asking Jamal Murray and Jokic to carry Denver for the most part. I mean, other guys got to step forward without a doubt. It's not just a two-man game. But look, all we do collectively here, when you talk about the Lakers, you bring up two names.
Yeah.
When they win.
And it stops.
But when they lose for some reason or another, we bring up JJ Redick and everybody else. My son said last night, we're watching the game because I was at an event last night at the Detroit Athletic Club. It was Tom Izzo, it was Greg Campy, it was George Gervin, and it was Dan Gavitt, who's the president of the NCAA. And it was a great dinner. It was a great night. Asked some questions. Sage Steele was the moderator. Really enjoyed it. We'll get to that here in a minute. So I come back and I'm watching, some hockey and I'm watching some basketball. And my son's like, look at Luka Doncic. And I said, what about him? Dude's an unbelievable shooter. He goes, he may be an unbelievable shooter. He is incredibly soft. Look at how fat he looks. I'm like, yeah. Well, I'm not saying that and he wasn't either. I'm not saying that the trade should have been made by any stretch, okay? We've already gone on record saying about how ridiculous it is because Nico Harrison didn't at least try to get others, okay?
Right.
But there's a part of you, as you're watching certain players, we always look at this with linemen. Oh, my God. Well, look at it with first baseman. Go ahead and put that focus on a guy like Prince Fielder or a Miguel Cabrera late in his career. But you do it to Luka Doncic in his prime who can still score, but is huffing and puffing going back down the floor. God forbid you do that, right? We make exceptions because of certain other skills.
Totally.
And that's exactly what's happened with Luka Doncic. Look, I've already said, I think he's one of the greatest players in the world. He's one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. His numbers show you that. But please be careful when you start telling me I want a guy who can play both ways. I want an overall really good player. I want the guy who gives me everything he's got on both ends of the floor. Because if you're supporting him, you're not. Okay. There has to be, after a playoff series loss like that, 4-1, rather handily, right, by Minnesota, there's got to be some soul searching taking place there. There's other playoff news that we got to get to, including the Stanley Cup. We'll do that, plus the finalists for the Great Ted Lindsay Award, our poll question as well, all more coming up here on a Thursday with Lindsey Hunter at 7:35 on X's and Bros.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Golf Resort in Thompsonville in lower northern Michigan. Not a long drive from anybody listening right now. Mountain Ridge, Betsy Valley, 2 18-hole layouts are open. You can book a stay-and-play package, a getaway. They got the Golf Learning Center. Crystal Mountain Resort has fabulous food, spa, accommodations, and more. Go to crystalmountain.com. That is crystalmountain.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Saturday, July 26th, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Foreigner. Live at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort with special guests Loverboy and Night Ranger. Tickets start at $32 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series welcomes Foreigner with Loverboy and Night Ranger July 26. Showtime 7 p.m. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
we play 27 outs. You know, we played the whole 9 innings. Everybody's ready to come in the game and available to help the team, and that's what AJ's been doing. You know, we're using everybody, and it's been working for us.
It's a really good soundbite. That's Javier Baez last night helping lead Detroit to a 19-12 record. Let me ask you this question, and this is not turning into a defense of a specific individual. I've done this show for a couple of years now. I've told you how I feel about Javier Baez. First of all, I really like him. Okay, there's not many Tigers I don't like. I like those guys. I try to separate that. I can't let that cloud my judgment on whether or not he's helping this team win. And I think I've done a pretty good job with that. The one thing I have stood fastly with is that his teammates like him. I don't know how much that means. If you believe in chemistry, and I hear that from people all the time, if you believe in chemistry, there's something to that. Now, he hasn't played on many winning Tigers team. It was last year, 84 wins. So when he first got here, he was viewed as what? The solution. One of the saviors. I never believed that. But he was seen as the big name player. That's what comes with big name players. Patrick Kane with the Red Wings. I don't know if there's any big name players who the Pistons acquired. Recognizable names are different than big name players, right? I think so. Even the Lions. I mean, those big names are drafted and developed. Jared Goff, obviously, because he led a Rams team to a Super Bowl. He's been around a while, so I think that's fair. But I think most quarterbacks get a lot of attention.
Totally.
Okay.
We talk about the win-loss record that gets plastered on their Football Reference page,
right.
That position.
When they acquired Javier Baez, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, that's a star.
Okay. So you thought he was a star because he won a Gold Glove, and
yeah,
he was a dynamic and flashy player with the Cubs. He's not a quote unquote flashy player. He makes some dazzling plays, without a doubt. But he's not a showboat.
He's a humble guy.
Okay. And if you know him, and it's hard to say you know any athlete. I was fortunate because I traveled with the team, and I talked to him a number of times about things other than baseball and in addition to baseball. But he's a private guy. He's a tough guy to let into a circle. It takes a while. You've got to be very careful. I'm sure you're like this with you've got plenty of friends who are like this, but you got to be very careful with athletes. I remember one time I went hunting with Mark Spindler. Mark Spindler played for the Lions, played for the Bears. He was the best high school defensive player coming out of high school, went to Pitt, has some great stories. Massive human being, 6'6", 325 pounds, great dude, but could throw me around like I'm a cell phone. Okay. So I'm going to do this television piece with Mark Spindler. And I bring a cameraman with me, and he's a friend of mine, but he's a guy who's working for Fox at the time. And we're going to do this feature to air during the Detroit Sports Report, if you remember those days. That's a long time ago. And so I told the shooter, I said, hey, Byron, just kind of ease your way into this, because he's a private guy, and you're not going to be buddies with these guys right away. It took a while for me to do that with Rick Mahorn, all these guys. These are long-established relationships. You don't just meet a guy and they go, hey, you want to come on the show? Right? Hey, can I come to your private place up north and shoot a feature? Well, Byron is a really good guy, but he immediately comes in and he starts trying to be part of, our private conversation, trying to hang in there and give his opinion. And Mark turns to me and he looks at Byron, he looks at me and he goes, who the blank is this guy? Which, I said, just hang on. So I take Byron aside. Remember I told you, just kind of ease your way into it. It's not going to happen. All right. Javier Baez is like that too. Not that up front, not as like Spindler was, but you got to be careful on when you approach, and you got to get a feel for that, right? There's a kind of a unique trait about that, knowing when to come and talk to somebody and how to approach them and so on and so forth. But he is an approachable guy. He's just a quiet, unassuming guy. You thought he was going to be a star. He has not been. But I think he's better with this team when he's role player is probably the wrong word, right, Trent? But he's he doesn't have to be the star. And that's what I told people when he came on board. I said, you know he's not the savior, right? He wasn't that in Chicago. He wasn't that with the Mets. He was better when people were flocking to see certain members of the Cubs. When he was almost, oh, by the way, we need a third or fourth soundbite.
100%. Yeah. He was a supporting cast member.
That's exactly.
And that's not to demean him.
From him. No, it's not. You're right. That's what you should have expected from him. The problem is he comes to a team, and it's nobody's fault. I'm not blaming Alavila. I'm not blaming Chris Ilitch, nobody. But he comes to a team where there's nobody else. There's nobody else worth talking to. You go into that clubhouse and you're like,
and you would know, Shep. I mean,
you're just looking around.
You're looking around. Yeah.
You're looking around. You're going, let's go get Baez.
Well, this is an interesting conversation, too, because how many of those guys from that team are still around? It was Riley Green's rookie year, correct? Mm-hmm. Spencer Torkelson's rookie year.
Yep. And, of course, they're going to get attention because
but Tarek Skubal wasn't a star yet.
They're big names within the organization. Casey Mize was there. Tarek Skubal. You had the three-headed pitching monster you thought was going to lead this team with Manning as well. But not many people were going to Jake Rogers. Not many people were going to some of the other players on this team. They just, they weren't.
Robbie Grossman.
Right. Really good conversation. I enjoyed my conversations with Robbie Grossman. He's one of my favorite players, and I mean that. I mean, when he left and we were in Texas, he and I met each other behind the batting cage, and we had a good chat for a long time. It was great. But people weren't going to the gates to go watch him play. People were buying tickets to watch Javier Baez play. And there's all kinds, and of course that comes with the contract. And it just didn't translate. Now, he doesn't, there's no, hey, jump on board, we're going to do chicken fighting in the pool. You're going to be the one on top. And he's that guy. That's not what it is. He's got guys like Green, 4 for 4 last night, by the way, a career best 4 for 4. Oh, my God, we got to send him down. Spencer Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter, and a few other guys. Gleyber Torres has really helped him. It's helped him a lot. So he can be that, hey, I'm here too kind of guy instead of everybody come see me, I'm the number one guy. And I'm not saying that's the reason that he's having such success. AJ Hinch has made it a point. Look at where he's batting in the order. It's better, right? And the team has responded. He hit that grand slam. It was 98.9 mile per hour exit velo, 40-degree launch angle. Balls with that combo have had a batting average of 0.99. So that helped that he got a little bit of a break. We got to take a break. We'll get to that hockey scores from last night that has a team moving on for the first time in a while. We'll get to the Mitch Lyons poll question of the day. I thought I'd seen Mitch last night. I missed it. But Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. He's got a great book out. He's got a docuseries out to help you in your life as you move forward. And we've got some double standards taking place in the NFL. We'll explain all that and more coming up, brought to you by Ferris Coffee, the official coffee maker of your Detroit Lions.
The stock market has been all over the place, and if you're nearing or in retirement, it's probably got you nervous. Will you have enough to retire? Are you worried about running out of money? Are you sick of hearing, just ride it out? What can you do differently to ensure that you have enough to retire comfortably with an income that's guaranteed to last your lifetime? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, and I've got great news for you today. I'm a featured expert in a groundbreaking film called The Retirement Deception. This film reveals exactly how you can create a guaranteed income with your nest egg protected from market volatility. Wall Street may not want you to see this film, but I do want you to see it at no cost. That's right. It's absolutely free when you call today. I want you to know the truth about retirement. A secure retirement is achievable. Call today to speak with one of our retirement specialists to get your free copy of The Retirement Deception. Call 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-857-8335. Again, 866-857-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Grocery shopping is a good deal better with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Pay just $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more participating items. Save big on everything you need for a complete family meal, including assorted Meijer frozen vegetables, select varieties of Campbell's condensed soup, Meijer pasta and pasta sauce, and Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Family-friendly meals and low prices. That's the happy shopper good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
No sticks, no pucks, no goals, and no holds barred. It's Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Coming to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Saturday, June 14th. 900 square foot ice box, 90-second rounds, 2 combat fighters, and they're on skates. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Tickets starting at $50. On sale now at box office or etix.com. History in the making. June 14th at Soaring Eagle. Doors at 6. Show at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Who needs a pub?
All right, back with you on X's and Bros, 35 after the hour on this Thursday morning. An hour from now, Lindsey Hunter joins us to discuss the Pistons and the Knicks Game 6 and a whole lot more, and a really touching story about Lindsey Hunter and a young man on the west side of the state that we will get to coming up here on X's and Bros. All right, Washington eliminated Montreal last night in a 4-1 final. Tom Wilson had a goal and assist. Yes, Alexander Ovechkin had a goal too, but Tom Wilson had a couple of points in a closeout game for Washington. It is the first series they've won since they hoisted the cup in 2018, and they're going to get Carolina next. If I said to you, who's the odds-on bet to represent the East and arguably win the Stanley Cup? It's Carolina. They are a really tough team to play against. When I think of what Steve Yzerman and Todd McClellan said the other day at their press conference, and the fact that the Red Wings have to be tougher to play against, I thought of Carolina and Florida. I don't know if you watched Florida close out Tampa last night, but Florida can play any style you try to bring their way and beat you at that style. The Panthers are going to play either Toronto or Ottawa because Florida beat Tampa 6-3. They win that series in 5 games. I thought Tampa was playing really good at the end of the year, and I picked them to win the East. Florida is going to be a tough out, that's for sure. But they play either Toronto or Ottawa. Toronto and Ottawa play Game 6 in Ottawa tonight. And I know we're going to be watching Pistons and Knicks, and for good reason. I am going to flip back and forth a little bit. If Ottawa seals the deal in Game 6 and forces a Game 7, considering the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs and how in their last 14 chances to close out a playoff series, they are 1-13. I want you to think of how tight those players just might play in Game 7. It is really hard to play. First of all, it's hard to play tight in any situation. You can sense it. Players can sense it on the floor. Their opponent can sense it. And if you don't believe it about concern or worry or doubt, self-doubt, go watch Michael Spinks fight Mike Tyson. Anyway, the Maple Leafs, considering what they've had to deal with in their history, considering the madness in that town over that sport and that team and the frustration people have had with that team and that franchise, it's going to be really tough, really tough. The finalists for the Ted Lindsay Award, and that's voted on the league's, you want to say MVP? It's the league's best player. It's probably more important than the Hart Trophy because what you have is you have the players voting on it. The players have said, hey, you're the best. There's 3 finalists: Nathan MacKinnon, Cal McCarr, Nikita Kucherov. McKinnon and McCarr play for Colorado. McKinnon tied the league lead for 84 assists. We made a big deal out of Lucas Raymond having 80 points. Nathan McKinnon's got more assists than Raymond had points. When I said yesterday that the Red Wings need a star, Lucas Raymond's a really good player. Do you think others around the league view him as a star? I doubt it. I think he's a really good player. He might be one eventually, but he's not one now. Patrick Kane used to be one. Alex DeBrincat's a hell of a goal scorer. That doesn't make you a star. That's maybe semantics, and there might be a fine line, all that stuff. I said I think the Red Wings have to add somebody who can get into that conversation. There's nobody in the National Hockey League who's going to the quote-unquote polls and saying, who's in the discussion for the Hart? Who's in the discussion for the Ted Lindsay Award? And saying Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat. They're not, unfortunately. McKinnon had 84 assists, 116 points. McCarr led all defensemen. 30 goals. 30. From the blue line. It's a good team. I don't want to take anything away from anybody who's accomplished whatever. It's a hard sport. We know all that. I'm just telling you, when you look at it and we praise, and we're guilty of it too. This is not just the home broadcast, but when we praise players and we're like, wow, I mean, look at what he's done. Cal McCarr on the blue line scored more goals than a top line player for the Red Wings. You might think that's unfair to compare, but it's true. He had 92 points, by the way. Led all defensemen in goals, assists, and points. Kucherov led the league in scoring for a second straight year, 121 points. And as I mentioned yesterday, he's one of 4 Tampa Bay Lightning, who, by the way, out of the playoffs, they only played 5 more games than the Wings, with 40 or with 80 points or more. And not much has been said about that. By the way, I missed a hockey final. Winnipeg bounced back, beat St. Louis last night 5-3, take a 3-2 series lead. We had mentioned Michigander Connor Hellebuyck being pulled from the game the other day because of a struggle. He had 16 saves in the win yesterday, lasted the whole game. The problem is, it wasn't a problem, but Winnipeg's defense was so good. They only allowed 19 shots. I like watching Winnipeg play because I think they're really fast, and I think they play a really cool style. Kyle Connor, who's from the state of Michigan as well, a goal and 2 helpers. Nice, right? Here is our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. What's your confidence level in the Pistons winning Game 6? I know. Going into Game 5, I said, will the Pistons force a Game 6, yes or no? This is a little bit more detailed way of asking you for something very similar on your feeling tonight. I was surprised, though. Trent gave us the results from the other day, and it was at least 66%.
That was the number, yep.
Gave the nod to the Pistons in Game 5. I would guess your confidence is even higher now. What's your confidence level in the Pistons winning Game 6? High, low? I don't have a feel for this one is the third option on the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. You can go to his website, MitchLyonsWealth.com, but you can make sure you can vote on our poll question here on X's and Bros by going to Twitter or our X handle at XBMornings. All right, there you go. There was a crank call to Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders, on draft night. Uncool, childish, selfish, it's cruel.
Jax Ulbrich, the son of the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator.
Right, that's where I was going. And the Atlanta defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, came out, made a statement yesterday. It was heartfelt. The NFL has come down. The league has fined the Falcons $250,000, $250,000, and they fined Ulbrich $100,000. Now, I don't care who you are. If you're a coach, an assistant coach, $100,000 can hurt. It would be very interesting. I'd love to know. Wouldn't you want to be a fly on the wall? I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. Son?
Me too.
Come here for a second. I'm in the office. Shut the door. I mean, I got this when when I first got drunk. It was a bad scene. My dad, the next morning, come down here. Had to walk down into the office. Shut the door. It's never a good sign. Never a good sign. Anytime you got to say shut the door. Like, I get it when I go to the doctor's office. You got to shut the door. All right, you want privacy. You got to go shut the door in Dad's office?
No.
That's a problem, okay? I'd love to be a fly on the wall saying, in so many words, what the hell were you thinking? How are you going to pay the $100,000 back to me? You and your buddies got together. You thought this was hilarious. Oh, by the way, let's film it too. What an idiot. No, I'm serious. This is stupidity at its peak level. Okay. We won't obviously know that. And the kid came out and he was, I made a tremendous mistake. What I did was inexcusable and embarrassing and shameful. I'm so sorry I took away your moment. It was selfish and childish. I could never imagine. You weren't thinking about that at all?
Also, his friends are equally as stupid. They just want to film it.
Sure.
And,
right.
This is hilarious.
Right. Yeah. But this is, I always have to be careful before I go old guy here. Like I was talking to people last night at this event at the Detroit Athletic Club, and we started talking about some of the baseball things that you and I have talked about and some of the players I've talked about, Gibson and, Nolan Ryan and guys of the past. So you always have to be careful about being an old guy here. But this is what our society has become. How many times do you see video of kids fighting in the hallway? No one's trying to break it up, Trent. You know what they're doing? They're filming it. They're filming. People want to film everything to get likes, retweets, and everything else. You might shake your head. It's a sickness. It's a social media sickness.
Yes.
I'm going to film something where I'm going to get, all I care about is more retweets, more likes, and a chance to get 5 minutes of fame. I can't do it any other way. So why don't I do it this way? No one knows my name. They know me associated with my father, who's the defensive coordinator. Now I'm going to make a name for myself. You're an idiot. You're stupid. You are all those things that your dad wrote out for you on your speech to say, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I took away your moment. You never thought for one single second when you were going on your father's iPad, finding the phone number, talking to your buddies. This is all planned, right? You're talking to your buddies.
Has to be.
Let's do this. Let's call him the night of the draft and tell him, what should we say? All right, how about this one? We're coming up with different ideas. I wouldn't be surprised if they thought, you want to do it again? They don't care about Shedeur Sanders. They don't care about the moment. So the kid's an idiot. He's a punk is what he is. He's a punk. I hope his father makes him repay $100,000 per lot. I hope he does something to make him repay just a slew of money. Because you know the kid is spoiled already. He already thinks he's entitled. That's what happens to way too many kids. You know why? Because today's parents, I'm not saying this is how Jeff Elbrick is. That's not fair because I don't know him. But today's parents are so concerned about being friends with their kids instead of being the parent of their kids. I have this conversation with friends of mine all the time. My parents were the greatest generation. You know why? Both of them worked. They worked for everything. They ate everything on their plate, rarely went out to dinner, understood what it went through to go through a depression where you're drinking powdered milk, eating powdered eggs, fighting for our country. That doesn't matter to people anymore. It doesn't matter if you're a veteran, people will still disrespect you. It doesn't matter any young people today, even people my age. It doesn't register with them. Where are the consequences besides a written apology? I don't know. There probably will be. It's not fair for me to suggest that there's going to be no repercussions. My guess is there will be. Most coaches, what you would think, would have some type of pushback and have some serious repercussions for the son who did something stupid. But there is a double standard. The National Football League, I don't know if it's because of the name Sanders. You're going to have a hard time convincing me that it wasn't because it's Deion Sanders' kid. But the National Football League institutes a $350,000 fine, $250,000 for the Atlanta Falcons, $100,000 for Jeff Ulbrich. What about the prank calls, just out of curiosity, for Kyle McCord? Anybody looking into that? There's nobody associated with the team, you don't think, with the Eagles who made but Kyle McCord had a crank call on him. Tyler Warren did. Are they looking into the Colts situation? Or are they just going to let that go? Washington's Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle, he got pranked. You know who else got pranked? There's a couple more, in case you were wondering. Chase Lund, the offensive tackle for Buffalo. Abdul Carter, I think the best player in the draft for the Giants, he was pranked. Isaiah Bond, who played at Texas and Alabama, he went undrafted. He got pranked. How cruel is that? And again, it probably has nothing to do with the franchise, a coach associated with that franchise, but all those guys had their moments, quote unquote, ruined by some immature person, by some selfish person. So if that's the case, is the NFL conducting an investigation? That's all I'm asking. Maybe it was just quick and neat with the Shedeur Sanders thing because they were able to find it really fast. You know, they recognized it quickly. So maybe they didn't have to investigate very long. I just wonder if the National Football League is as concerned about how Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter and Kyle McCord and others were affected compared to Shedeur Sanders. Our phone number, by the way, on the Meijer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can text the program, Sports Radio, to 21,000. Really good NIL discussion last night. We'll try to get into that with you a little bit. Pistons talk coming up. Lindsey Hunter joins us at 7:35, but it's not talking just about the Pistons. It's about a really feel-good story on how he has helped a young man's life and a young man has helped him. We'll get to all that coming up in the second hour of X's and Bros here across the great state of Michigan. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Ferris Coffee, based out of Grand Rapids, but available in all 50 states.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Spring is here, and that means one thing: opening day on Mackinac Island. So mark your calendars for May 2nd as the ferry docks come alive, the horses return, and the island wakes up for another unforgettable season. It's Michigan's second most famous opening day. Be part of the magic. Plan your trip now. Experience the charm of Mackinac Island from day one. Opening day, May 2nd. Don't miss it. There's something unusual going on in baseball as we enter a new month. Teams just aren't winning on the road this year. Only 4 teams in each league have a winning record away from home. A bunch of teams have crazy good home records. The Mets are 13-1, the Dodgers 14-3, the Tigers 13-3. Most years, the home team in baseball wins about 53 to 54% of the time. This year, it's over 60%. The teams with the best road records are usually the teams going to the postseason. If you have a winning record on the road this year, it's going to be quite the accomplishment.
Attention Michigan fans, it isn't a Michigan game day without a Michigan-made beer. Founders Brewing Company, a proud supporter of the University of Michigan Athletics Department, has the perfect beer for you with their Michigan Pilsner. Crafted with only the best locally sourced Michigan hops and the highest quality ingredients to deliver a smooth, crisp taste. Upgrade your game day traditions with their easy drinking Michigan Pilsner. Founders Brewing Company, proud sponsor of Michigan Athletics. Welcome to Craft.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports. The mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Hey, this is Matt Shepard, host of X's and Bros Monday through Friday from 6 until 9. We bring you the most comprehensive Pistons talk in the state with those closest to the team. The great George Blob.
The main thing about the Pistons, I believe, is they got some shooters, particularly Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley. And don't forget about Simone Fontecchio they signed late last year, traded for late last year, to take some of the pressure off Cade Cunningham in the lane or around the lane. That's where Cade's impossible to stop.
Gregory Kelser joins us from FanDuel Sports Network.
I'm expecting better things from this team. There's no doubt about it. And the one beautiful thing about basketball is that, and unfortunately it hasn't happened for the Pistons, but you can turn situations around rather quickly. Phoenix getting to the finals a few years ago. 2 years prior to that, they won like 22, 23 games. They were one of the worst teams in the league. Orlando, their turnaround. Oklahoma City, you just mentioned. Even Houston. These teams are turning around.
That's X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Saturday, July 26th, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Foreigner. Live at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort with special guests Loverboy and Night Ranger. Tickets start at $32 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series welcomes Foreigner with Loverboy and Night Ranger, July 26th. Showtime 7 p.m. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with MPerks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in MPerks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See MPerks.com for details.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Second hour of the program. Glad you're with us here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. Lindsey Hunter joins us at the bottom of the hour. A special guest at 7:18. A very courageous and inspirational young man. This hour brought to you by our friends at Meijer. I've already gone over the headlines. Don't necessarily have to do that. Do want to talk some Pistons. Obviously, it's coming up with Lindsey Hunter. But last night, I was at an event. I really enjoyed it. It was at the Detroit Athletic Club. It was a packed event, and it was an event hosted by Sage Steele, formerly of ESPN. Had a chance to visit with her for a long time. Wonderful woman, strong woman. And she moderated a panel of Tom Izzo, Dan Gavitt, who is the president of the NCAA, whose father, Dave, started the Big East, George Gervin, the Iceman, one of the greatest players of all time, and Greg Kampe, the head coach at Oakland University. And the topic was NIL, name, image, and likeness. What have I said to you? I've said this for a long time, but for over a year, since coming back, over a year hosting the show, what have I said to you about NIL? Do you remember? What I've said is it's not name, image, likeness. I've said it is pay to play. And the very first thing that Tom Izzo said last night was the exact same thing. He said, let's be honest here. This is not NIL. This is pay to play. And what they were talking about is trying to figure out how you fix the system. I don't know if it can be fixed. Quite personally, I don't think it can be fixed. I asked the question, not to Izzo or Kampe, but to Gavitt, are you worried about unionization? Or how worried are you about unionization? He said, very worried. There were some interesting things last night. One of the things that was brought up on whether or not they should be employees of the school, which a lot of people have said. But what I didn't realize, you become employees of the school. All the other Olympic sports in your programs are going away. They're not going to employ 105 football players, 15 basketball players, 15 women's basketball players, and then all the other sports. The minimum, in order to be a Division I sports program, the minimum of athletic teams you have to have is 16. Now, it varies per school. Wisconsin doesn't have a baseball team. They have a softball team, but they don't have a baseball team. Illinois doesn't have a hockey team. So it's going to vary, right? But how many student athletes do you think you're looking at? I mean, in the Big Ten, most of these programs have at least, or most of these schools, I should say, have at least 20 programs. Think of the number of kids that you would have to bring on your payroll, okay? That is, so it's not going to happen. It's not happening where they're going to be an employee of the school. So that was an interesting nugget there. But I did ask, how much are you worried about unionization? The other thing I asked was, how did you not see this coming? It's easy for me to say that now, but I can say that now because
but you said
about
it then.
15 years ago, I did say,
yeah,
this is going to turn bad. It's going to be the Wild Wild West. Izzo and Kampe had great perspective on this. And this perspective is, like Kampe said, you go in, we'll use Trent Valley. I go in and I recruit Trent Valley. And it's going to cost me $200,000. Oakland can't afford that, by the way. It's going to cost me $200,000. Okay, here's the $200,000. Next year, another school goes for Trent Valley, and they offer him $250,000. Then the following year, somebody else offers him $300,000, and he takes that. Suddenly, he's been in 3 schools in 3 years. Where's the loyalty from the player, the alumni, the school to help him once he doesn't make the pros? Because guess
non-existent.
What? You're not making the pros. 97% of the kids who play Division I basketball don't play professional basketball. He gave it another great story. He said this: I had a kid last year, 2 years ago, average for me 18 and 7. Okay. With those types of numbers, you're going to get into a basketball camp. Some team is going to go, you know what? This kid's really good. He's a good shooter. I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to give him a 10-day. Okay. You can then parlay that into a possible career overseas. But if you go to a big school, Auburn, Texas, whatever, what happens? Your numbers go from 18 to 8. They go from 7 to 3. Now you're on nobody's radar. Nobody. The other thing that they both brought up, who are they recruiting? Campy told me, I got a 27-year-old coming in next year. It's 27. What was the average age of the Auburn Tigers this year?
25.
20, yeah, I think it was like 24.4.
Yeah.
Okay. How are those kids who are 18 competing against those kids? So what are you doing? I've got a really good 18-year-old. He may be a 3-star, but he can turn out to be really good. I can't take him.
He's almost 10 years younger than some of
him.
these guys that still have eligibility.
Think about
crazy.
That. I can't take him. The coach cannot take the 18-year-old unless it's, a couple of guys who go to Duke.
Yeah.
And are going to be first-round picks. Can't take them.
If you want to be competitive in the sport.
What happens to those kids? Tell me what happens to those kids. You go into that living room and you'd love to do. It's not happening. These are the additional effects that oftentimes we don't look at. We stand on a mountain and go, these kids should be paid. Nobody's saying they shouldn't. The guardrails of all these things and the long-term effects we don't recognize. Izzo brings up a great point. Let's say we give a guy $1 million, right? You think I'm using my NIL. I'm at Michigan State. I want Trent Ballard. Here's $1 million. How much of that goes to the agent? Because you're not dealing with parents. There's no mom and dad anymore, by the way.
Right.
You know who you're dealing with.
Important
you're
detail.
With the Klingons. Yeah. You're dealing with the guy who saw, hey, I see dollar signs with Trent Ballard. I'm going to go get him. How much does that guy get? 20%? Okay. How much does the government get? 40%. Suddenly, your $1 million goes from $1 million that you and I think is what he's getting to $400,000.
Yeah, the figure that's reported is not the figure that goes into his pocket,
100%.
Obviously.
And I'm not saying $400,000 is anything to sneeze at. And I'm not saying if I was a college student, that's not something I wouldn't want, because I would want it. But how long is it going to last you? George Gervin said last night, man, first paycheck I got when I was in the NBA, he said, nobody told me how to spend it. He said, you know what I did? I went and bought a Cadillac. I'm living on the east side of Detroit, and I bought a Cadillac. Okay? I mean, a lot of these kids are probably doing the same thing. That ripple effect, that long-term effect, really important to keep in mind as we move forward. A special young man, courageous, tough. He will join us on the other side. Griffin Gullickson is from the west side of the state, Sparta High School. He overcame cancer, and now, with the help of Lindsey Hunter, has a really good story to tell. We'll talk with him when we come back. We'll talk with Lindsey Hunter at 7:35 about that and the Knicks and Pistons. This is X's and Bros. This hour brought to you by our friends at Meyer, and we're on the Michigan Sports Network.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports, made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older in Michigan to play.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the upcoming Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to be launching the center in Farmington Hills this fall. It will provide exercise, therapy, and educational programs that will help the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality of their clients' retirements, this center will help improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center will be available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right. Absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and the caregivers.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center will make in the fight against Parkinson's.
Since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center will encourage others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Sumo, sushi, and sake. May 31st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Witness a thrilling sumo exhibition and enjoy a curated tasting of sushi, sake, and Asian-inspired cocktails. 2 premium VIP packages available, pricing as low as $59. Performance only. Full pricing options and details at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Experience sumo, sushi, and sake. 7 p.m. May 31st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Grocery shopping is a good deal better with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Pay just $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more participating items. Save big on everything you need for a complete family meal, including assorted Meijer frozen vegetables, select varieties of Campbell's condensed soup, Meijer pasta and pasta sauce, and Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Family-friendly meals and low prices. That's the happy shopper good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
There's too many negative stories in the world today. We gravitate toward the negatives for some reason or another. That's why it's refreshing to get a story like this about Griffin Gullickson, one of the bravest young people you will ever meet, and his father, Jeff, who has influenced him in a number of ways with his loving family, and both of them join us here on X's and Bros. Griffin has bounced back after 12 rounds of chemotherapy from a cancer called lymphoma, and he has been inspirational to many, including many in our audience as well. Griffin, good morning to you. How are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks very much. How challenging was this time in your life as you try to fight through the chemotherapy to stay involved in the sport that you love most, basketball?
Definitely the most challenging moment of my life. It was really hard going through all that and just having to give up basketball for a while.
Jeff, your son is inspiring to so many. The strength is incredible. What did you notice in your son that has helped shape you differently moving forward as he fought through this ordeal with such bravery?
Yeah, thank you. There were multiple things that I noticed through this entire journey. Right up front was just his thoughtfulness of wanting to lift others up and putting others first. He was concerned about others, and we watched him as the chemo treatments progressed through the 12 rounds that he had gone through. At first, I mean, he was out there, he was fighting, he was still participating, going to school every day throughout the week. His basketball coach, his JV coach, was up at the hospital after the diagnosis, said he could be a part of the team in any manner. He actually was playing in the games through the first part of the season, through Christmas break. He was diagnosed in September and participating fully in practice. And I was just blown away at his toughness after coming through these chemotherapy sessions, having some challenges during these sessions, even anaphylactic responses to the chemotherapy, them having to switch to another that had a little bit more of adverse events or side effects, and still watching him try to push through this. And getting into the later rounds, Matt, it was difficult to see how it had taken a toll on his body and emotions. He's still trying to lift others up.
It's an amazing story. Griffin, what do you love most about basketball, and what has it taught you that helped perhaps get you through such an ordeal that most people probably wouldn't have the wherewithal to handle?
I mean, my favorite thing about basketball is definitely the teamwork that it involves, and then it helped me get through that, knowing that I have a team from my old school and my new school that's always going to be supporting me through this.
You go to Lindsey Hunter, or you connect with Lindsey Hunter, who's a good friend of mine, and his son, and you devise your own AAU team. What kind of therapy was that for you?
I mean, it helped a lot. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it, but it helped.
So, Dad, tell me this, Jeff. How did you reach out to Lindsey, and what was that conversation like? It had to be emotional for you.
Very much so. That started when Griffin was initially diagnosed. I played small college basketball at CNI University, blessed to play for a Hall of Fame coach, Fred Smith. Reached out to multiple teammates to ground myself, one in particular, Myron Gray. He was connected. He has family members in the league, and he wanted to do something more. So he connected us with the Hunters. And from there, I mean, it was just an incredible acceptance. So we felt a part of the family, and they wanted to make trips over here. They wanted to embrace Griffin. They wanted to support him. And it's just grown from there. And it's incredible how they've adopted the school in Sparta over here, our family, and the community. It's remarkable.
Jeff and Griffin Gullickson joining us here on X's and Bros. Griffin having to deal with 12 rounds of chemotherapy, but helping build his own AAU team, worked with Caleb Hunter, beat cancer, and the Hunters recently hosted an elite skills camp at Sparta High School, with Griffin being part of that. Griffin, when you see how this changes not just your life, but other people's life. How does it make you feel? Your story?
Makes me feel great inside. Makes me feel really great.
Yeah. Jeff, we can always learn from our kids, right? I think there's too many times where we think that because we're the parent, we've got to be the person who educates you all the time. What have you learned from your son that is going to help you for the rest of your life?
Yeah, it's the inspiration, the fight that he had. And when I say fight, I mean, you hear that all the time when you get cancer, but I got to witness that right up front, and the resiliency that comes through it, because it was difficult to see him, not just during the chemotherapy sessions, I mean, the days after and the weeks after, and he still continued on wanting to participate as much as he could in all the events and activities that he loved. And to see him lay down afterwards, I mean, I remember the Lions game in the playoffs, and I mean, it was upsetting to most. I mean, everybody was so hyped up with this season. It was difficult to watch. Griffin wanted the game on, but he was leaning over the bed for the entire game, eating about 100 calories a day. We're having to call the children's hospital multiple times, just concerned with him. And he's still pushing on and wanting to, be around friends, wanting to be around the basketball team. He couldn't play anymore. Coach invited him to sit on the bench, and as weak as he was, he would still try to make it to those games. If he couldn't make it, we were watching him online. And seeing that, it's changed me. It's changed my perspective. I thought I was tough in certain situations.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it, and he did. And now to see him sitting here is just incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it either, because your story's emotional, I would think, for everybody, including yours truly. Griffin, with basketball and the closeness that you have with your friends, what were those what were those conversations like with your friends, and why you were doing it, and how they were helping you and how you were helping them? How did you feel you helping them and vice versa?
I think right now so how did you feel when you approached your team and you wanted to invite them to be a part of the team? What did that mean?
I mean, I felt really excited for that.
Did that comfort you when you have people to talk to?
Yeah, it did.
Well, those can be, challenging conversations. How open were you with your friends, and how much did they want to know about your condition and how they could help?
I was pretty open with them, but they weren't too nosy about it. They just were there for me, telling me I got this, that you're gonna push through this.
You're a big Pistons fan, right, Griffin? You're a big Pistons fan. You've watched this playoff series. What have you noticed most about the Pistons' fight, similar to your fight against the Knicks, when a lot of people didn't think they could do what they've done so far?
They just kept pushing through, even though they've lost 3 games. They're still going to come back and win it in 7.
Pretty confident then, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, just before we let you go, Jeff, what's Lindsey Hunter meant to you? I mean, have you guys established a nice relationship moving forward and been able to help one another and lean on one another a little bit?
Yeah, Matt, it's beyond just a relationship now. I mean, we truly feel a part of the family with Lindsey and Caleb. We're on the phone almost every day, whether it's on texting or phone calls. They're wanting to know how Griffin's doing. He just had a surgery on Tuesday to get his port removed. They want updates. They're excited to see him. Like when they came to, they're coming to Sparta, and I have to let you know, the camp's starting at 8. Coaches are meeting at 7 o'clock. They didn't come stay the night in Grand Rapids. They left Detroit at 4 a.m. to be here.
Yeah.
And did a camp all day at 3 until 3, and then they left for their other teams who had games on the east side of state down to Waterford for 7 p.m. games. That's just the type of dedication, the passion, and just like I said, I use the word embrace. And it's not just only us; they're showing it to the Sparta schools, the community, West Michigan, and I'm blown away. I've never had a relationship with an NBA player, but I don't consider. I mean, I see him as Lindsey Hunter, Mr. Hunter, and Caleb.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Really
He's a really good man. Obviously, you are too, Jeff. All the strength and all the love and all the prayers. God love you, you and your family. I know this has changed your life. His story has changed many lives, and it will continue to do that. Keep spreading that word, Griffin. All the best to you, my friend, and thanks for being a difference maker in this world, not just for West Michigan, not for the state of Michigan, but for everybody. All the best to you, good health to you, and good luck the rest of the way. Thank you for taking time today.
Thank you too.
Yeah, thank you for having us on, Matt.
Absolutely, anytime. That's Griffin and Jeff Gullickson. What a story. So, yeah, as a father, can't imagine what Jeff went through. Griffin Gullickson might be one of the strongest people you've ever met, to have that perspective. When you feel like you've been cheated, when you feel like you got thrown or dealt a bad hand, I want you to do me a favor. And I want you to think of Griffin Gullickson. And I want you to think of Jeff Gullickson. And think of their perspective and their appreciation for every day, the little things in life. It's worth noting. Special people. Glad we were able to get him on. It's a great job by Trent Bally, our producer. Lindsey Hunter shares his side of this and his perspective on Game 6 when we come back. Stay with us. Tell you what, man, there are certain stories, certain people in your life, you know, and it's not like Griffin or Jeff are in my life. Obviously, we just met, but it is something else to be part of, like, just a conversation with somebody like that, and it is really special to hear the type of people that they are, the impact that they provide to so many. Like, I mean, his friends have to be truly, I think sometimes we overuse the word inspirational. But when you see a young man, it gives you hope in life. Older people are looking for signs from younger people to say everything's going to be okay. Because we all think our generation's the best, right? When you talk to a guy like Griffin Gullickson and you hear the power and the faith and the strength in his voice, understanding what he went through. I mean, our producer, Trent Bally, went through the same thing, had the same doctor, went through the same type of treatment. Talk about a positive attitude. Isn't that refreshing? In a day and age where we are consumed by the negativity of social media. I mean, some jackass not too long ago told Jaron Duran, the center fielder for the Boston Red Sox, who struggled with mental health, told him he should have gone through with it at a baseball game the other day. That got all kinds of headlines. Headlines about somebody like Griffin Gullickson is, I hope, what a lot of people will focus on too. And what Lindsey Hunter did, and how Jeff Gullickson has handled this situation and gotten closer to a lot of different things in his life. It's probably more than just Lindsey and Caleb Hunter. With his family, with his friends, perhaps. Those are the types of stories that keep hope alive for a lot of us. What a strong young man. And you know damn well, I mean, mom and dad did a hell of a job raising him. It does require a willingness to reach out to special people. I'm fortunate because I've known Lindsey Hunter for a while. I've known he's special. And not because he's a flippin' basketball player, all right? He won 2 world championships. He's one of the best players. But because of the person that he is, that's what I care most about. And how he's affected the Gullickson. And he joins us here on X's and Bros. How are you, my friend?
What's up, my buddy Shep? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, pal. We just got done talking with Griffin and Jeff Gullickson. The impact that you've had on them and your son Caleb have had on them is immense. What's the impact that a kid like Griffin Gullickson has had on you?
Oh man, Shep, it was our first time talking to him. I instantly just saw the strength in his eyes, and his father was overwhelmed just for me. We did a FaceTime call, and I was like, man, let me call this kid and let's do a FaceTime call and let's talk to him. Let's lift his spirits because he was going through treatments, and he was weak and just trying to live a normal life. And man, we talked and it just impacted me in such a way. I was like, man, let's do more because Griffin loves basketball. Mm-hmm. And Jeff wants to support him, and his struggles for just to have a normal life. We're not even talking about basketball. I'm just talking about for him to walk around and be normal was a fight, and it was just heavy on my heart, man. And we've become really close with Jeff and Griffin and the family and everybody up there. And it's just been, it brings you back to reality about what life is really about. We go through our daily process of worrying about you know, the minute things in life, when there are people like Griffin that are fighting for their lives, and he's a kid. You know, he hasn't lived a full life yet, and you know, just to be a part of helping him, man, it inspires me. It helps me keep my life in perspective. And you know, Shep, I don't do all these things for the notoriety. I don't do all these things for the popularity. I do them because, you know, that's just my heart. And when you find somebody that you have a connection with, you want to help them. You want to help them get through their trying times, and that's what it's about for us, me and Caleb. And it's been a joy to be a part of their family.
Yeah, I know you don't do it that way. Look, I'm a little emotional right now. You and I both fathers, obviously. Caleb is a big part of this too. How quickly did your son rush into this, and how important? We all need reminders, Lindsey. We all need reminders once in a while. How important and impactful has this been for him? And let's face it, the Gullickson family is impacted by you too. And I know that's not why you do it, because you're just a good man, not just a great basketball player, but you're a good man. How has it affected Caleb, do you think, and the relationship perhaps that you might have with Caleb?
Well, fortunately, man, Caleb and I have been, you know, we've been close since he was born. He's always been a daddy's boy. And a guy told me a story once. He said, the true definition of being a successful parent is when you can raise your kids, and when you get older, they come back and want to be friends with you. And that's the situation that we have, man. We are the best of friends. You know, we're business partners, and helping, being in a situation where we're helping and aiding a kid like Griffin and his family. It puts our lives in perspective. It gives us a better appreciation of, you know, the things that we have now. And Caleb is no different. It impacted him, and he really was like, Dad, we gotta do more. We gotta help him. He wants to play basketball. You know, what can we do? And I said, man, let's help him put together a team, and let's assist him, and let's do some different events and just be supportive and do all we can do, man. And that's what we were put here for. And that's what we try to fulfill. And Caleb is a big part of that.
Well, you're stretched thin because you're coaching a lot of kids. You're making a difference in a lot of kids' lives on the basketball floor. But this right here made a difference in Griffin Gullickson's life overall, not just basketball. We're talking about life in general, and Jeff as well. So kudos to you, my friend. What a great. It doesn't surprise me that this is your tact at all. If people know Lindsey Hunter, they know the kind of person you are, and that's a big reason why I respect you and I love you so much. Let's get to basketball a little bit. As an analyst, because you've been an analyst, done a great job on the radio, and you always have on television as well. What's your take on the fight? Speaking of Griffin Gullickson, the fight that the Pistons have shown in the first 5 games of this series against the Knicks.
Man, it's been a joy to see. You know, you kind of see them growing up right before our eyes, and knowing what the playoff intensity is all about. I think these guys are learning that. They're getting a crash course in it. You know, Cade struggled at the beginning of the first game, but you kind of see him settling in and being the Cade that we know and love. You know, and the playoffs are all about, you know, the role players. How well are your role players going to step up and play? And our guys on the road really stepped up and played well. Tobias stepped up, and that was big for us. And we're going to need efforts like that at home. I think we haven't played really well at home in the playoffs yet. I'm waiting for that game to happen, and hopefully it happens tonight. And we can extend this series. I really like the fight the Pistons have put forward. I'm bummed out that Stu hasn't been able to play much in this series, because I think he brings a mental toughness and an edge to our team that, you know, I don't think Cat would be as explosive as he's been if Stu was playing more. So, but it's been exciting watching him, man, and I just hope that we can have a breakout game at home tonight and extend this series.
You know what it's like to win a championship. You've won 2 world championships. What if somebody asked you what was the common denominator in those two teams when you won it all, Lakers and Pistons, what was the common denominator that got them to get you a ring? What would you say to that, and how far away would the Pistons be from that DNA?
Well, the biggest thing, and I'm excluding the personnel. The biggest thing was the approach of both of those teams. Our approach was so different because everybody's mindset was geared toward a championship. Nobody talked about the playoffs. We used the regular season as a barometer of how we were moving along in pursuit of a championship. We weren't peaking too early, where we fundamentally sound defensively. What could we take away from teams on every given night? Those were the common denominators with both teams. And for the Pistons, I think we're kind of finding ourselves and understanding who we are on this level. We know who we are in the regular season. We had the biggest turnaround ever. But now, when you start leveling up, it's about, what can we be effective doing in a high intense situation? And they're learning that.
One of the greatest stories I've heard, you and I were at Callahan Hall getting ready for the high school state championships, watching a regional championship, and you and I had a conversation about the best high school players that you've ever played. You were unbelievable in high school, and you played on an unbelievable team. Share with the audience the best high school player you've played against, and just put in perspective just how challenging it was to get out of your state with a championship, and some of the players that you played with and against.
Well, for one, there were two pros on my high school team, me and James Robinson. So that should tell you the level of guard play that was in Mississippi at the time.
Yeah.
And now this was a head spinner right here. We had two pros, a point guard and a shooting guard, and we lost the state championship to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, formerly known as Chris Jackson, who was the best high school player I'd ever seen in my life, bar none.
Did you say something like he scored 50? Like it was nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
I watched him. I remember my first time seeing him, my father was telling me, you need to go see this kid play. And I was like, well, how old is he? He was like, he's your grade. I was like, I'm not going to see anybody play that's my age.
Why would you, right? That's so funny. Where are you headed now? Sounds like you're in the car. You're on your way to help more kids practice?
I just left the gym. I had my kid Ernie back is in the gym this morning at 5.
Yeah.
So now I'm headed to my dentist appointment at 8.
Well, you got to keep those pearly whites. You got to keep that beautiful smile going. Thanks for all that you do, man. And thanks for joining us.
I love you, brother. I appreciate you, Shep. Always appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thank you, man. All right. All the best to you and Caleb, by the way. Thanks to him for helping us with the story as well. Okay, buddy? Be good. All right. That's Lindsey Hunter joining us here on X's and Bro. He is a wonderful person. He really is. I'm fortunate. I've said this time and time again. Over the years, I have made some good friends who are professional athletes. It is not the reason I want to be friends with them. Actually, it's the furthest thing from it. The reason I want to be friends with them, first of all, I love working with them. I love learning from them. I love asking them questions about life and about mindset more than anything else. You can get fan guy all you want anywhere. Hey man, what is it like? They get that enough from people. What I want to know is the difference in being a champion. I want to know the mental side of it. He is incredibly mentally tough, number one. But number two, he's just a good person. And you can tell by that conversation what a good man he is. It does not surprise me in the least that he and Griffin and Jeff have become close. It doesn't, because that's who Lindsey always has been. And he always will be, right? And very approachable. I just mentioned the Callahan Hall, and it was interesting because I'd seen an interview with a professional player, and they'd asked him, who's the best high school player you'd ever seen? This was in football. And they said Terrell Pryor, 6'6". He was just a man amongst boys. And it made me think of the conversation I had with Lindsey at Callahan Hall not too long ago, and in March, and he had mentioned Chris Jackson and how good Chris Jackson was. And look, Lindsey was a great defensive player, right? I mean, a phenomenal defensive player.
Absolutely.
In the NBA, yeah, college and the NBA. Like he mentioned, you got two pros playing in your backcourt in high school. And I know everybody peaks at different times. These guys were legit.
It doesn't matter. You're right. Yeah.
Chris Jackson scoring 50 on that.
Jeez.
Like hitting from all over the place. It's always funny with, oh man, this guy's unbelievable. You got to go see him. And then you go watch him. And I hate to be that guy. I do, because I will go and watch somebody. And it takes, not to be too sour, but it takes a little bit for you to be wowed by a player. It does. I mean,
you're hard to impress, Shep.
Well, it's just when you've talked to professional athletes and understood what they did at their level, and you hear some of the stories that they've had about against other players who also reached that same level. It's tough to do that, right? It's really tough to make you step back and say, wow, that is something else. So that's the reason I bring that up. But
makes sense.
I'm really glad we had Griffin and Jeff on and Lindsey to talk about it. It's a great story. It's an inspirational story. It makes you appreciate life a lot more. And I hope it makes you appreciate your friendships and your relationships with your father or whoever may be in your life. But a guy like Lindsey Hunter being that impactful is important too. And I don't know how you felt about him before. Maybe you didn't have one. But it should make you feel good about a guy who has represented one of the teams you love more than anything else, the Pistons, for as long as he did. I was at his draft at the Palace of Auburn Hills when they drafted him and Allen Houston. I'm like, whoa, all right, you got two really good players here, and it's come all full circle where I end up working with him, and now we text back and forth, and we're friends, and I feel fortunate to have his friendship here on X's and Bros. So thanks for Lindsey Hunter for joining us. All right, when we come back, we will get to the final results of the Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. And we'll talk a little about the Lions in general. I saw an NFL insider have his favorite pick of various rounds by certain teams. And he kind of coincides with what I've said. We'll share that with you. We've been brought to you by Meyer this hour. We'll share that with you when we come back on X's and Bros on a busy Thursday morning.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older in Michigan to play.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Saturday, July 26th, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Foreigner. Live at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort with special guests Loverboy and Night Ranger. Tickets start at $32 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series welcomes Foreigner with Loverboy and Night Ranger, July 26th. Showtime 7 p.m. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Spring is here, and that means one thing: opening day on Mackinac Island. So mark your calendars for May 2nd as the ferry docks come alive, the horses return, and the island wakes up for another unforgettable season. It's Michigan's second most famous opening day. Be part of the magic. Plan your trip now. Experience the charm of Mackinac Island from day one. Opening day, May 2nd. Don't miss it. There's something unusual going on in baseball as we enter a new month. Teams just aren't winning on the road this year. Only 4 teams in each league have a winning record away from home. A bunch of teams have crazy good home records. The Mets are 13-1, the Dodgers 14-3, the Tigers 13-3. Most years, the home team in baseball wins about 53 to 54% of the time. This year, it's over 60%. The teams with the best road records are usually the teams going to the postseason. If you have a winning record on the road this year, it's going to be quite the accomplishment.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
When you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Home run! Home run! He hit it a mile! Let's give them the keys to the Hall of Fame, but not tonight. Tonight they are in the Stanley Cup. Steve Eisenman, come get it.
It feels like cool. Heaven must be lying. I got one question for you, Michigan Nation. Who's got it better than us?
Right center field. That's got carry. It's gone. Number 500 and history for Miguel Cabrera.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Yes. This game is over.
Those puck they get.
They score. Red Wings win. Detroit basketball.
Yeah, let's hope that we're screaming Detroit basketball after Game 6 tonight at Little Caesars Arena. The Pistons needing this Game 6 win to force a Game 7, down 3-2, obviously, in the series. Last night in the NBA playoffs, Houston staved off elimination, a convincing 131-116 win over Golden State. Steph Curry only had 13. Struggled mightily from the floor. Again, looked like the Warriors weren't really into it. Houston sure as hell was. They had 3 players score 24 or more. Fred VanVleet had a game-high 26. It is 3-2 Golden State as they head back to Oakland. Minnesota gets rid of the Lakers in 5 games, 103-96. Rudy Gobert, a career playoff high 27 and 24 rebounds. LA is now 2-12 in their last 14 playoff series. Once the playoffs are over, perhaps even today, perhaps even this week, when the talking heads on TV are looking for something to discuss regarding the NBA playoffs, you know what they're going to bring up, right? It's just a matter of time. That didn't happen to Mikey's teams, right? I mean, it is. I mean, it's unfortunate that it always gets linked to one player. It's not necessarily fair. There can be a lot of great players in the world. I know many people feel like there can only be one greatest of all time. Who that is very debatable. In football, there's a good debate. You can debate Joe Montana. You can debate Jerry Rice. You can debate Lawrence Taylor with Tom Brady. Tom Brady going to as many. Okay. And then the counter punch is Joe Montana never lost one. Joe Montana never threw a pick. Terry Bradshaw would like to insert himself into that. But I mean, it's a debate is my point. Baseball, more than any. You can talk. We had debates on who the best right-handed hitter was, whether it be Cabrera or Albert Pujols, for crying out loud. So you don't think there's a debate on who the greatest hitter is of all time, whether it be Ted Williams or Tony Gwynn, or the greatest player of all time, whether it be Hank Aaron or Willie Mays. There's a lot of different conversations you can have. But the one thing the Jordan side of things will say is his teams didn't go 2-12 in a 14 playoff series stretch. If you're the man, this is what we heard about Cade Cunningham, folks. You're supposed to be that guy. You got to hit that shot, Shep. Come on. He's open from 16 feet. So it didn't matter that they didn't call it on Tim Hardaway. Okay? And then they're going to say the same thing about what? LeBron James. How do you go 2-12 in your last 14 playoffs?
Well, what I would say was, I mean, Jordan got swept by Larry Bird, but we're not going to talk about that. He never beat Bird or Magic or Isaiah. We're not going to talk about that.
He did beat Magic.
He beat Isaiah, but
what are you talking about? He beat Magic in his first championship game series.
But not Kareem. Sorry. That's not what I said. You're correct. The Showtime Lakers.
Who's beating LeBron? If you say Anthony Edwards, I want to jump through and punch you. Come on. Rudy Gobert had 27 and 24 last night. I didn't say this year. I said 2-12 in his last 14
Who's
playoff
beating
series,
LeBron in his prime? It's Steph Curry. It's Kevin Durant. It's Tim Duncan. That's who's beating LeBron.
So
I'm just saying.
The apologies are out. The apologies are out.
No,
I said the Lakers are 2-12. LeBron losing to Tim Duncan when he's with a different team has nothing to do with this. Nothing.
Yeah.
I said 2-12 in your last.
And I don't completely disagree with what you've been saying.
Yeah.
Like, I think you've made good points. I'm just throwing in there.
You're throwing in guys who beaten him when he wasn't a Laker. Tim Duncan didn't play him as a Laker. I said 2-12 in his last 14 playoff series with the Lakers. Okay. There's the difference, right? The Wolves, by the way, went 7 for 47 from 3. That's not a misprint. You didn't hear incorrectly. 7 for 47. At one point, Minnesota missed 17 consecutive three-point attempts. And they won. They won the game. That's a startling statistic. They're going to play either Houston or Golden State. Stanley Cup playoffs, Washington beats Montreal 4-1. They get Carolina next. Florida finishes off Tampa 6-3. They get either Toronto or Ottawa next. Winnipeg beats St. Louis. They're up a game in that series. And the finalists for the Ted Lindsay Award, Nathan McKinnon, Cal McCarr, both of Colorado, Nikita Kucherov, Tampa. I would guess Kucherov will win it. Remember, last year, McKinnon was named MVP of the league, even though Kucherov had more points than he did. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. What's your confidence level in the Pistons winning Game 6? High, low, don't have a feel for this one. When you talk to your friends yesterday, this is after you're still glowing in the Game 5 win. I don't care who you are. Most people, you could say, I think they're going to win, but you were a little surprised at how they won.
Yes.
Okay. How much more confidence do people have now that they just won Game 5? I think it's through the roof. Absolutely through the roof.
I think everyone and their mother believes the Pistons are bringing this back.
Everyone in Detroit.
7 games.
Everyone in the state of Michigan. People in New York don't think that.
I don't
people
know.
in the state of Michigan.
I think people in New York are terrified.
Do you? Okay. It's fair. That's
like I'm serious. Whether
they
believe they can win Game 7 or not.
Do you think they were terrified after Game 2 when they lost? And they
No.
had to go to Detroit?
But what I'm saying is at this point in the series, Shep, I'm just saying I think they know that everything's going back to Detroit, and they're terrified.
But they've beaten Detroit twice at LCA.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Pistons haven't won a game at LCA, so. Right. It's a weird series in that way, right? Because the Pistons' 2 wins are both at MSG.
Yeah, they're 4-1 in their last 5 at MSG. I think you're partially right there. I think there are people in New York who they're biting their nails. I don't think they're terrified, but they're like, I do.
They don't want this.
I don't.
Is my point because next, I mean, even if they win, Shep, they got to go play the Celtics.
Well, yeah, but I think I'm talking about this series though. Like you knew the path was going to have to go through Boston anyway, so I think that's a moot point.
Yeah, but
I think going into this series, most people thought this was a dangerous series. Whether you're a Knicks fan or not, whether you loved the 50 wins or not, you felt like this was a dangerous series. But you also felt confident. Forget about the regular season. You felt confident because of what? Experience. You lose twice at home, but you won 2 games in Detroit. If you're a true basketball fan, you're looking at this and you have to realize this is going to be a close series throughout. I hope you understood that. Little things make a difference, right? It's going to be hard tonight, but wasn't it going to be hard for Detroit in Game 5? In other words, it's hard to hang your hat on one thing
that
convinces you one way or the other because they're very similar. And they believe in defense and they're committed to defense. That New York bench is awful. Simply awful. Right? I mean, that's why I think.
Yeah, I mean, Thibodeau plays like 5 guys.
I don't think.
7 guys.
I don't think there's any way they can beat Boston because they don't have the depth.
No, me either. And honestly, I mean, we'll have that conversation if and when we come to it, but I don't think the Pistons can either. So.
Well, I think that's a fair point.
Boston's Boston.
We will get to the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question results when we come back. We'll also have the Daily Wager. This hour is brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Talk a little Lions and NFL post-draft coming up as well here on X's and Bros.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
The stock market has been all over the place, and if you're nearing or in retirement, it's probably got you nervous. Will you have enough to retire? Are you worried about running out of money? Are you sick of hearing, just ride it out? What can you do differently to ensure that you have enough to retire comfortably with an income that's guaranteed to last your lifetime? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, and I've got great news for you today. I'm a featured expert in a groundbreaking film called The Retirement Deception. This film reveals exactly how you can create a guaranteed income with your nest egg protected from market volatility. Wall Street may not want you to see this film, but I do want you to see it at no cost. That's right. It's absolutely free when you call today. I want you to know the truth about retirement. A secure retirement is achievable. Call today to speak with one of our retirement specialists to get your free copy of The Retirement Deception. Call 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-857-8335. Again, 866-857-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Want to help people protect and create a little bit more income? Easy way to do that. MitchLyonsWealth.com. He's got a book. It's called Retirement of Steel. He's got a documentary film called Retirement Deception. And my favorite, the Retirement Red Zone. It's about 5 years before and into retirement on how you can help yourself save some money and make sure you're looking ahead. You deserve a better life once you stop working. So where do you go? You go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Streaming code available, free on the website. So you can go get it. So take advantage of it. Phone number, by the way, on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can always text the show, Sports Radio, to 21,000. We will get to the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question and the Daily Wager, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, in a moment. First, let's go to the phone lines. Brett is up on this Thursday morning. Brett, good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Shep. I got a question for you, but I got two caveats to it because there's two examples.
Okay.
When in the heck in America are we going to fix the officiating in our professional sports? And I got two examples from the last 2 days or 3 or 4 days.
Go ahead.
One is the Hardaway bump, which everybody knows about. But did you see that 8-inch outside curveball last night on Torkelson called for a strike? I was tapping my head so hard that I couldn't believe it. In the preseason, did you notice how the official didn't call a bunch of way outside strikes? And now all of a sudden that they ain't got the computer checking on them, they're right back to the way they always been.
Are you in favor of automatic umpires? And I don't mean robots behind the plate. I mean somebody upstairs and boom, recognizing it's a strike. You send the signal down to the umpire. It triggers him to either call a strike or call a ball. Are you in favor of that?
I'm in favor for getting the call right. I don't care what technology they use, but they showed us all this in the spring, and then they took it away, and now they're right back to where the ball can be. I've seen pitches hit the ground and be called a strike this year already in Tiger games.
Do you?
I mean,
what about the human element aspect of it? The humans are gonna, they're gonna miss some. Football, it happens. Basketball, it happens, as you mentioned. Hockey, it happens. Okay, Aaron Ekblad just got a 2-game suspension for an elbow to the head. He never was called for it on the ice, but afterwards they acknowledged, yes, it was an illegal blow and he should have been suspended or should have been kicked out of the game. So tell me about the human element. You don't want the human element part of it?
I think I just want it right. This is what I got to say. If you call it a strike 6 inches out of the strike zone, you should be suspended for a day. If you let a guy get knocked ass over tea kettle on a 3-point shot, you should be suspended for a game.
Okay, fair enough. I get where you're coming from, and I hear what you're saying. I was upset about the lack of Hardaway call. You've seen Angel Hernandez make really bad calls before in baseball. It's happened forever. Okay. Kaiser did it back in the day, all kinds of different guys. Okay. But, and we've seen plenty of.
I made a mistake. That perfect game ain't a perfect game anymore.
I get that. I get that, but even technology isn't going to change that. I guess what the Pandora, I don't disagree with you, but the Pandora's box you open here is if you're looking for a perfect call against Tim Hardaway, you and I, not just you, what about the call against Karl Anthony Towns that wasn't a whistle? How are you going to get it? You're not going to get it all right, Brett. You're not getting it all right, Brett.
The officiating in the NBA is just ridiculous. Because if you slap a guy across the face, it's not a foul, but if you touch his wrist, oh my God, it's a foul.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
exactly.
The NBA is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
But as far as balls and strikes, yeah, I'm all for the computer doing it because these officials are idiots. They do not make a call right. 90% of their balls and strike calls are wrong.
No, they're not.
That are close. No, I'm not talking about the ones right down the middle. I mean, I can do that.
Yeah.
But they're calling so many pitches that are strikes balls and so many balls that are strikes. Last night, Keenly, or however you say his name, threw 4 pitches in the exact same spot on that little box. 2 were strikes, 2 were balls.
Yeah, just understand the box. The box is a little misleading too. Okay, but I hear what you're saying. Certain pitches, when they're that far out, you're like, wow, how can that possibly be? The box is not the true box. So be careful with that. Try not to use that.
If the box isn't true, then because they showed it last night on the game, they had all 4 pitches overlaid, and you couldn't see but one pitch. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the box, right or wrong, is irrelevant. The 4 pitches were in the exact same spot. How could 2 be balls and 2 be strikes then?
Yeah, no.
That's my point.
Yeah.
How as a pitcher do you know where to throw the ball?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How as a batter know when to?
Well,
the officials are making themselves part of the game, and they're supposed to be impartial, not even know they're there.
Yeah, I think umpires are always going to be part of the game, though, Brett. You and I both know that. They're always going to be part of it.
Well, no, see, then fire them when they're – I mean, okay, oh, God, this gets me so fired up.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we sent Torkelson down to learn how to do his job, right? Basically, he got demoted.
To get better, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why don't they do the same thing to officiating?
Why don't they do the same thing to umpires?
Off the field. Did you see that fat old man on first base umpiring last night? And I'm sorry, I'm old and I'm fat. But at some point in time, you don't belong on the field with these top-notch athletes.
Well, you don't have to look. Those guys. Okay, I appreciate the passion. I really do. Those guys aren't. They don't have to run up and down a floor or skate up and down ice in order for them to, how they look physically shouldn't matter all that much. Okay, it really doesn't matter.
They do have to run. If you're the first base umpire or the third base umpire, you have to run out that line to see if it's fair or foul. Do you or do you not, Shep? You've been following baseball for your whole life.
Very little do you have to run. Very little. Okay, and when you're a baseball umpire, I'm sorry, you don't have to run that much. You turn and check. You don't have to run that much. You can't even compare.
Last night on the home run that went to left center field, I forget who hit it. I don't know if it was Hobby's grand slam.
It was Hobby,
or if it was,
yeah.
The second base umpire went out to make sure it went over the yellow line. That's his job.
Mm-hmm.
The third base umpire ran over the second base to cover the base like he's supposed to, and then followed the runner over to third. Is
Brett,
he not running?
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. You understand what I know. They have to run a little bit, for crying out loud. 15 feet, running 15 feet is not running up and down the floor or skating up and down the ice like I just mentioned. Okay? So let's not get into semantics on whether a guy's got to be fat or not. It doesn't matter. It's their eyes more than anything else. And Roberto Ortiz was the home plate umpire. And from an efficiency standpoint, based on umpire report cards, whether we like it or not, he's pretty good. Again, whether we think it's appropriate or not, at over 90%, he's pretty good. They're going to miss calls. I don't like it either. If you're going to say you're going to improve the game and get everything right on all these different things, I'm with you, Brett. I think you've got to go to the automatic umpire. Just so you know, though, that's not going to solve all the issues either. And that was proven in spring training as well, with some of the disagreements. We've got to take a quick time out. Back with more after this.
Grocery shopping is a good deal better with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Pay just $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more participating items. Save big on everything you need for a complete family meal, including assorted Meijer frozen vegetables, select varieties of Campbell's condensed soup, Meijer pasta and pasta sauce, and Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Family-friendly meals and low prices. That's the happy shopper good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Spring is here, and that means one thing: opening day on Mackinac Island. So mark your calendars for May 2nd as the ferry docks come alive, the horses return, and the island wakes up for another unforgettable season. It's Michigan's second most famous opening day. Be part of the magic. Plan your trip now. Experience the charm of Mackinac Island from day one. Opening day, May 2nd. Don't miss it. There's something unusual going on in baseball as we enter a new month. Teams just aren't winning on the road this year. Only 4 teams in each league have a winning record away from home. A bunch of teams have crazy good home records. The Mets are 13-1, the Dodgers 14-3, the Tigers 13-3. Most years, the home team in baseball wins about 53 to 54% of the time. This year, it's over 60%. The teams with the best road records are usually the teams going to the postseason. If you have a winning record on the road this year, it's going to be quite the accomplishment.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
No sticks, no pucks, no goals, and no holds barred. It's Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Coming to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Saturday, June 14th. 900 square foot ice box, 90-second rounds, 2 combat fighters, and they're on skates. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Tickets starting at $50. On sale now at box office or etix.com. History in the making. June 14th at Soaring Eagle. Doors at 6. Show at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Who needs a pub?
All right, back with you at 35 after the hour. Thanks for joining us here on X's and Bros. We're with you Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, throughout the great state of Michigan. The phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. Let's head back out to the phones. Freddie's up next on this Thursday morning. Hi, Freddie. How are you today?
Good morning, Shep.
Good morning,
sir. You drive him mad. It's hilarious. I love it. So I got a couple things. Pistons, number one. I think today is going to be first blowout of the series. I think the Pistons get it by 12 or 15 tonight. I think the stars are aligned for Game 7.
Okay.
And I just think today they come out, they get their first win ever, LCA. I believe this will be the first playoff win in that building for
that's right.
Obviously the Wings, but and the Pistons, right? Yeah. So that's what I think the stars are aligned tonight. I think they get it done by double digits, and I'm looking forward to Game 7. But I understand they got to play Game 6, but I kind of got them winning big today.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right about that. Nothing in this series. I thought it would be Game 3, to be honest with you. After they won Game 2, they'd come home. Nothing in this series has given me any indication that either team can blow the other team out.
No, you're right, and you're 100% right about that. For me, I just think the stars have aligned that it could be the first playoff win. I think these players know that. I think a Game 7, you just never know. I know everyone says home team, but you never know, man. With home team, Game 7, Thibodeau, his pants are going to be pretty tough. His pants are going to be pretty tight. Game 7, I'll tell you that right now. Especially with that look on his face, his cheeks are going to be pretty puckered up.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so.
So you brought up right-handed hitters, and this is controversial all the time, and I know I'm probably going to piss some people off, but Miguel Cabrera wouldn't even be in my top 3. I mean, Hank Aaron for me is number 1.
Okay.
If you take away his home runs, he has over 3,000 hits. If you just take away his home runs, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then
no one will ever beat his total. No one will ever beat his total bases record. Nobody.
Absolutely. He had to do it with hate mail and all that disgusting crap he had to deal with and all that. And number 2 for me is Albert Pujols. The numbers don't lie. Great player. Here's where the controversial is for me. Number 3 would be A-Rod. Miguel 4. And then 5, you can go Adrian Beltre or Roberto Clemente.
What about Willie Mays? What about Joe DiMaggio?
Well, you're right. The problem is, and I didn't see Hank Aaron play either, so it's not fair for me to even say that. I just think because of the numbers. But I guess I'm focused on Miguel Cabrera because everyone always says Miguel Cabrera is the best right-handed hitter of all time.
Right.
And I understand the bias here in this town, but the numbers don't lie on some of these players, Shep.
No, I'm 100%. Look, I never saw certain players play, but you got to do research, right? I mean, that's what the internet is for. Rogers Hornsby had 3 legitimate 400 seasons. He had 2 Triple Crowns, 2 MVPs, 7 batting titles, 2 home run championships, 4 RBI crowns. How come nobody brings up Rogers Hornsby other than how expensive the card was that everybody wanted?
Yes.
Right? How come nobody brings up Jimmy Fox?
Yes.
I mean, Jimmy Fox is a guy who won 3 MVP awards, 2 batting titles, right? 4 home run titles. You could use him as an example. Could you not? Honus Wagner, same thing. Those guys are all right-handed hitters, so why not?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a fun topic, and we saw Miguel Cabrera at his greatest from 2010 through 2015, whatever it was, but the tailspin at the end makes you kind of rewrite a few things on that topic. So, Shep, have a good weekend. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah, enjoy the game tonight. Thanks, Freddie. Always appreciate it. Let's get to the final results of the Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. That's from yesterday. We asked you, what are the Red Wings missing? A number 1 center, a number 1 goalie, a new GM, or other? What were the final results, Trent?
Number 1 goalie gets 51% of the vote.
Wow.
Number 1 center with 22%, other with 18%. And new GM, just 9. So people still have trust in Stevie Y, but number 1 goalie, overwhelming favorite.
Okay. I said this to somebody last night. Andrei Vasilevsky is a finalist for the Vezina, best goalie. Tampa's out, right? But they had you could counter that by saying they had 4 guys who had 80 points or more,
right?
A hell of a lot more points than our leading scorer. So what was it? Maybe that's where they're thinking, a true number 1 defenseman, unless you truly believe in Mo Seider or Simon Edvinsson. But that's an interesting final result. Thanks for voting. We appreciate it. You can vote on our current Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. What's your confidence level in the Pistons winning Game 6? High, low, or don't have a feel for this one? You can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. All right, the Daily Wager. How did it go last night? And what do you have for tonight?
We had Spencer Torkelson to get a hit yesterday, which did not go well. So sorry about that. But the Tigers won, so that's all that really matters. Tonight,
not if you're placing a bet with you, it's not.
People know that by now.
But in fairness to you, he didn't start. So he was a pinch hitter, but he didn't start. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a pass there. You kind of took a flyer. You didn't know that AJ Hinch was going to give him a day off. He's trying to give different guys a day off. It's
right.
I know we all read into it and think, oh my God, this guy's struggling, so you got to sit him down. Not necessarily. Sometimes, especially when you're playing 10 games in 10 days and you're going to 3 different cities, you're going to Houston, you're going to LA, and then you're going to Colorado. And the Colorado air, 5,000 feet above sea level, that's a big deal.
The ball flies.
Folks, you've been, well, it's not just that. I'm talking about from a conditioning standpoint. It is hard to get used to, and you're going to need some rest.
Well, there are NFL players that can't play when they play the Broncos.
There are different guys getting days off their feet. So yesterday was Torkelson's day. How are you supposed to know that?
No, and I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and
I'll give you a break there.
I paid the price for it, but I appreciate you for giving me the break. Tonight, Cade Cunningham to be the top points scorer in the game against the Knicks is plus 175. Jalen Brunson's the favorite, by the way, in that category.
You can understand why. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You look at their averages in the series and everything.
They haven't been able to.
Cunningham
They really haven't
leads
been
the game in points.
Brunson, I don't think. It's okay. He's a really good player.
He's a star.
I think I would go against you on that tonight. I think I'd go against you.
So you think Brunson or Towns?
I think Brunson. I think Brunson. It's proven that Detroit can't stop Brunson. So I'd probably go there.
Yeah, he's gonna get his.
Yeah.
It's the definition of he's gonna get his. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
in fairness to you, Cunningham's gonna get his too, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's been fantastic as well. He did have a slow start in Game 4. I don't carry that over. I don't think or Game 5, I should say. That doesn't mean that it automatically carries over. I hope he gets involved early. I think it's important that Cade Cunningham get more involved.
And I think these odds are kind of based on Game 6, or not Game 6 tonight, Game 5, which is, Brunson had kind of a bad game, so I think he's going to get back on track. I do believe that. I just think that Cade, I'm with Freddie. I think.
You think it's going to be a blowout tonight, huh?
No, not a blowout, but I just think the Pistons are going to roll and be comfortable all night.
Right.
I think the Pistons will win by at least 6 points. How's that?
I hope you're right.
And I don't consider that a blowout, to be clear. But I'm just saying, I think the Pistons kind of stay in front all night long and methodically take the Knicks to a Game 7. We'll see.
I hope you're right. I'm nervous about this one. I think it's funny. Before the series began, we all talk about how important experience is. And I've tried to tell people, look at the 4 guys who are big parts of Detroit's rotation. 70+ games playoff games for Dennis Schroeder, 45+ playoff games for Tim Hardaway. 40+ playoff games from Malik Beasley. Tobias Harris has played over 60 playoff games. How much is enough? But And those 4 guys are in their top 8 rotation, right? So, but people want to counter that, and it's fair with Asar Thompson, Cade Cunningham, Ron Holland, and Jalen Duren. Okay, so it's basically an even thing. I get it. But now that it comes down to a must-win, it's not even a must-win for New York, but it's a must-win for the Pistons.
Elimination game, yeah.
It's the second straight elimination game, and the Pistons won the last one. But I'm thinking, wait a minute. What about the experience that you were all harping on? And now you think it's going to be a blowout on top of it? That's, to me, a little strange. Look, I predicted a blowout in Game 3, and I was wrong. I think what this series has shown us, and again, I hope you're right. I mean, I would love to kick back and just go, this one's in the bag. But what this series has shown us is that these 2 teams are really evenly matched. They are both committed to the defensive side of the ball, and they make you work for every 2-point bucket, for the most part, 2-point buckets. So I don't know, per se, if I see a blowout in these games. If there wasn't a blowout, let's put it this way. If there wasn't a blowout in Game 5, it's in New York, everything was pointing toward the Knicks.
Yeah.
Everything. It really was.
Yeah, you're right.
New York
about
was
that.
up after the first quarter. They'd done a good job on Cade Cunningham, holding him to 9 early points. I think 9 points in the first half. Everything was pointing to, and what happened?
The Pistons won.
They punched him right in the mouth.
So, Shep, what do you think happens tonight?
Credit for that. I think it's going to be so damn close. It's going to make you nervous at times.
You think the Pistons go 0-3 in this series at home, or you think they get a win tonight?
I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't look at it with the home stuff. I know that's probably the wrong way to look at it, but I don't. I look at how a series is going and how a team is playing in a specific game. Is Karl Anthony Towns? If you think about it, he has been the key to New York. When they've won, he's been really good. When they've lost, he hasn't been very good at all.
Totally right.
Brunson has been very consistent. Okay?
So
Lindsey Hunter said
Cunningham.
something very interesting. Lindsey said what? He said, you winning championships, your role players are really key. Can Detroit tonight, can Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. hit their threes? That's why they're there, okay? Are you going to get the emotion's going to take over at the beginning, but later on, is Jalen Duren going to be able to continue to do what he's been doing and grabbing some rebounds and all that other stuff? It's going to be really hard. New York will be uber focused because it's the road. That's what helps you about the road. There's so many positive things about the road. I think Detroit's going to win, but I think it's going to be really tight. So I'd love a Game 7. I can't wait for it. All right, let me get to this real quick. Fielding Yates is a pretty well-respected voice in the NFL.
Field Yates, yes.
Field Yates, rather, yeah. He's a well-respected guy who's been doing it for ESPN for a long time, and he does a lot of work. I really like watching him break down the NFL draft. I know people love Mel Kiper and they love certain guys. This guy, I think there's a certain freshness to it. He came out with a list of his favorite picks in rounds. So round 1, his favorite pick was Travis Hunter, Tyler Warren, Gray Zabel, Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State that went to the Vikings that everybody says was a reach, and Jahad Campbell, the guy I wanted for Detroit when he was available there. But I'm happy with Williams. Don't get me wrong. So I looked around. I'm like, okay, I wonder if any of the Lions picks were his favorite. There was one. And it was the same one that was, as I said this on Monday, your favorite pick. Mine was Tate Ratledge. He's the guard out of Georgia. And here's what Field Yates said. He said, simply put, Ratledge plays like a Detroit Lion. Don't you love that? Don't you love that now?
Yes, that's a term.
It's exactly how the Pistons used to be.
It's a
where
positive
the Pistons
term.
used to be a certain bad boy probably, a physicality that you needed to play. It was the identity of the city and the identity of the team and the identity of certain players. They can't all be like that, but the identity was very unison with all, okay? And Ratledge appears to be that. He's extremely tough, dependable, and a true competitor. I don't know if there's 3 better words you can use for a guy like that. After undergoing tightrope surgery, never heard of it, last September, Ratledge returned to Georgia's lineup and looked excellent in the Bulldogs' regular season finale against Texas. Detroit came into the draft with an eye on interior offensive line help. They left it with a ready-made starter. There are certain guys whose opinion matter to you. Some more than others, right? But it means something to you when you say something because you've been around it, you feel comfortable with it, you're talking with people and so on. So if you're asked of an opinion, it should be quite an honor. When Field Yates, a guy who studies a lot and grew up going to wanting to be part of certain staffs and was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff, but has been at ESPN doing this job since 2012. Not to mention he's a former pretty good lacrosse player in high school, so good for him. Understands the toughness and all that stuff. When he comes out and he gives you that type of guy and recognizes the not just need, but how this guy fills that need, fills that role, I think that means a little bit more to you. At least it does to me. Our thanks to Lindsey Hunter for joining us here today. Talk a little bit about Game 6, but especially Jeff and Griffin Gullickson for joining us and their courageous battle that is now, we hope, it's now in remission. And we all hope and pray for them moving forward. And our thanks to you for your phone calls, your texts. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock here on X's and Bros. Don't forget these same great station affiliates carry the Huge Show later on today, 3 until 6, across the great state of Michigan on the Michigan Sports Network. Have a great Thursday, everybody.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the upcoming Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.